Welcome to episode 4 of the Growth Creator Model series. In today's episode, I'm covering operations. Why am I talking about operations? Over the last 2 years, when I started selling infrastructures, I realized that the reason why I wasn't scaling was not because I couldn't do lead gen, was not because I couldn't book appointments. It was not because I couldn't sell. The biggest bottleneck, the biggest hurdle, and the biggest constraint that I had to face was actually, how do I fulfill on everything that I'm selling? When you understand build and release, and when you position it as the thing that takes someone from where they're at and to inevitably taking them to where they need to be, everybody will want to buy. But then in doing so, you create a problem. You create a shit ton of work for yourself. So over the last 2 years, I had to figure out, how can I use this positioning but still be able to have a leveraged fulfillment? And just to simplify and show you guys how leveraged we were, I had a team of 12 people. Whole company was 12 people, making $600,000 a month. Not much in acquisition costs, maybe like $2,000 on ads, and the rest was the setters, the growth specialist. But the fulfillment was only like a team of 5. How can a team of 5 fulfill on $600,000 a month, place 90 setters in 25 to 30 plus businesses a month? In order for you to do that, you need 4 things. You need unique insights, you need data, you need systems, and you need talent pools. In episode 4, I break it all down. And my goal is to, with the build and release offer and this growth creator model that I'm creating, is actually to create some of the best operators, not some of the best marketers, not some of the best appointment setters, not the best salespeople. All those things, commodity, get it out of the way. What keeps people from not scaling is their ability to build and become operators, deal with constraints, be able to come into a business, evaluate what is the best constraints, be able to prioritize, figure out what should we do to scale this business, whether that be from 0 to a million to 10 million to 100 million. Eventually, how can we stack a bunch of different offers and make more money than we know what to do, or at least have an impact, a great impact actually. So I hope you guys will get to enjoy this one. These are the topics that I'm really excited about. So I hope you guys will get to share that same excitement watching this training. For those who keep asking about episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3, it's in Natural Born Leader community. You will find a link below. It's $49 a week. You can pay it, you can sign up and come ask me questions. If you don't want to pay, it's cool. You can stay for free on YouTube and keep consuming free content. But if you actually want to maybe get more access, ask me questions, get access to the assets, then pay $49, then we can meet and we can actually work together. But I'd love to know what you're building. That's what I'm really excited about. What are you selling? What will be your build and release offer? And what will be your vertical? Come and partner with us. I'd love to work with you. But enjoy, guys. Bye-bye. Okay, so today's day 4. We're going to be talking about fulfillment retention models. And what I was saying before I started the recording is the fact that in order for me to scale, I had to kind of like stop thinking like everybody else. If you kind of like look at what everybody's consuming and do exactly as they are doing, you end up with just average results, right? And the reason to that is because even if something is good, if enough people start doing it, it actually becomes less efficient, right? I'm sure you guys have seen people make a shit ton of money in different verticals and different offers. But once people start doing exactly the same thing, that same opportunity goes back down to 0. Okay. So the build and release model is kind of like something that I had to kind of like introduce in order for me to stop competing and just essentially just compete my profits away. All right. Yeah, for everyone who's in the community in Natural Born Leader who bought the VIP ticket, please remember that tomorrow we have a Q&A. So expecting you guys, we've had a lot of people buy it, more people than we expected. So that's going to be good. If you did not buy the VIP ticket, I'm not going to be able to answer all your questions, because if I try to answer the questions of 300 people, I'll be in trouble, right? So it wouldn't be doable. So that's why we released the VIP ticket. While we just are about to get started, please just show your face, put on the camera, stop. Unless you're on a sales call, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a camera on. Okay. So if you're here, just be here, be present. Don't try to multitask and try to do outreach or try to build systems and try to do anything that isn't here. If you're here, be here, right? Our Natural Born Leader subscription are allowed on the Q&A. Well, not tomorrow, because it's more specific to the VIP. Just like the people who bought the VIP ticket are not accessing the Sunday call that for the natural born leader members, right? So yeah. All right, cool. Perfect. So let me just get this going and then we'll get to work. The biggest bottleneck when it comes to the build and release offer is going to be fulfillment, right? Not necessarily because it's hard, but because you're solving a lot more problems. Therefore, it's a lot more complex than just, let's say, finding a contractor who can do Facebook ad, right? So I'm about to get started on here. All right, cool. Perfect. So how in the world did I go from struggling to fulfill client acquisition services at 30K per month to effortlessly delivering 600K a month in client acquisition infrastructures, right? Because, I mean, this kind of like doesn't make any sense because 30K a month, I was in more pain than I was in at 600K a month, right? And the point of today's top training is to kind of like go over how exactly did that happen. And the insights in today's training, I believe, have the potential of turning you into a legend. Not necessarily because you're going to learn how to get more appointments or how to get more leads or like better, shorter sales cycle, but because I believe that operations and operational excellence is what differentiates people who are great marketers who can make a lot of money and just, I guess, get rich to the ones who actually become wealthy. And the reason that is because for something to scale, it's less about acquisition and it's more about sustainability and allowing throughput in a system. Okay. So a lot of people just get started in business. They just purely just focus on, hey, let me get leads, let me close deals, let me make money. Okay, that's great. But you need to understand that in order for you to scale, it's not just being good at acquiring leads and acquisition skills. You also need to learn that there is a second layer of skills that you need to acquire, which is how do I scale that unit of activities? And instead of maybe making 10K per month, how can I make 100 grand a day? How can I make 100 grand an hour? How can I make 100 grand a second? Right? In case you guys have not noticed, I showed this chart. I've shared it in a training before, but I think Amazon makes $1 billion a day, like $1.2 billion a day, right? There is no single marketer who will make $1 billion a day. Because to make $1 billion a day, it's not about, oh, let's just put a discount code or let's do some scarcity or some fake urgency. No, you need to be able to fulfill on the $1 billion. So therefore, the more like a 9-figure scale at $1 billion scale, it's more about operational efficiency than it is about acquisition. Okay, so let's get into it. In my opinion, there are really 4 key levers of leverage fulfillment, and if you guys understand these 4, it should be impossible for you guys not to scale. If you want to scale past 100K a month profit, you'll need these 4 things dialed. Before I share the process of acquiring them, let's discuss the main failure points of companies that can't deliver results to their clients. And let's talk about the level of talent, which is average. Most of the time, companies that cannot scale, it's not necessarily because they can't acquire clients, but it's because they can't generate the results that their clients paid for. So most people's thought process when starting and scaling a business is, hey, let me get a cheap contractor so I can have 60, 80% margins. So their team ends up with average people trying to deliver extraordinary outcomes to businesses, right? But we all know that inputs equal outputs. If you eat shit, you're going to look like shit. You're going to feel like shit. If you eat well, you're going to look good. You're going to feel great, right? So how exactly do most founders, the most agencies, the most consulting businesses think that average talent on their team is going to equal above average output, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's literally insanity, right? So this leads to a never-ending cycle of acquiring clients and not being able to retain them, right? And this is why, for me, the biggest thing that I had to solve and the thing that I think made client acquisition that I am more, like a lot more, I guess, successful in a shorter time span is not necessarily because our emphasis has never been client acquisition. Funny enough, our emphasis has always been, hey, let's help you create the thing that your market needs and wants so that they can actually see results. And then the lead gen and the acquisition is going to be effortless, right? Now, what about agencies who have great talent but still can't scale? Because it also happens. There are people who have amazing people, like super talented people on the team, but they still cannot make 100 grand a month. Well, the problem here is how leveraged are the people? Right now, as an example, I'm going to use a pretty like a live example. So we have a media buyer who's worked with a lot on different accounts, currently spending a lot of money on ads, spent up to $60,000 a day on ads. And I'm going to use him as an example to explain the importance of being leveraged. I'll share the following scenarios. Scenario number one, his job is to set up accounts, find audience, work on copy, add it to the ads manager, right? So as an example, just like the ads manager. If someone else is creating it, provide guidance on creative, run the ads, look at it every day, every week, and optimize continuously, right? Well, this scenario lead to the media buyer being able to handle 10 accounts if the work isn't too complex, right? And since media buying is a leveraged job, which means that you can deliver great outcomes pretty fast, that means that you can charge proportionately to the value you can deliver. So there are agencies who generally charge 10K a month for their services of media buying, okay? Now, what most people don't understand is that even though this is like a leveraged job, the actual input-output relationship is still symmetrical. What do I mean by that? That means that even though his skills are more leveraged and he's using technology compared to, let's say, doing outreach, his performance is still tied to time, which means that the scale of leverage is still pretty low. Well, not pretty low, but it's lower than infinite leverage, okay? Because guys, regardless of even for me in my situation, the reason why I'm here on doing one call and let's say I'm doing this challenge, right? Instead of trying to talk to everyone one-on-one, is because even though I have knowledge that is pretty leveraged, if I try to give value to each one of you guys one-on-one, no matter how great of insights I'm giving you guys, I will never hit $100 million. I will never do $1 billion trying to give $1 billion worth of value 1% at a time. So you guys need to understand this. Just because what you do is leveraged, the model of distribution of that value also needs to be leveraged. Does it make sense? Okay. Drop it in the chat if it does, please. Because this is a super important lesson. I don't want you guys thinking that leverage is about, oh, let me just use technology. No, it's also like, okay, well, how are you going to distribute the work? Okay. So for this case, if scenario number one, the team member, even though he's using ads, the way that he's doing the work is super traditional. It's super like the leverage is super low, right? Now let's look at scenario number two. The job of the media buyer changes from done for you to documentation and setting up accounts and consulting or auditing accounts. So 80% of the time is spent creating documentation of the setup of accounts, the best performing audiences, interest, copy, placement, creatives, best actions for optimizations or for troubleshooting. 10% of his time is spent only doing setups. And the remaining 10% of the time is just auditing and consulting. Okay. Now look at the time allocation. 80% is on documenting and 20% is just on like actual done for you or consulting work. Okay. This is what you call building the fuck out of building, right? This is the work that changes the game. Okay. This here is just like, come on, like you're not going to do nothing here. This is where superstars live. This is where people who code, people who build platforms, this is where they reside because this is infinitely leveraged. Okay. How much more impact and value can this person deliver? It's the same person, right? It's the same individual. This person can deliver a lot more value, not because he's doing more done for you stuff, but because he can deliver the best insights and processes to 100 times more people every single month. Okay. Now he goes from being just a leverage, let's say the level of the scale of leverage he has. He goes from maybe level 5 to almost being infinitely leveraged, because this is a productized, this is something that everyone can consume as soon as they become clients. Okay. Want to make 100K a month to 500K a month profit? More of your team members, more of your superstars will need to be leveraged. Okay. Forget about, oh, I'm just going to be just hire my team and they're going to do work. No. They need to go from this, where they're just, okay, cool, they're doing great work, you're making some profits on, you're essentially just kind of like looking at how much they cost you, and then you're looking at what your clients can, you're just doing like labor arbitrage, right? So that's not where you make billions of dollars. Okay. You need to get them to be more leveraged. You can still scale to 100K a month profit with a done for you team, but a traditional agency model, you'd have to be generating over $1 million per month to make 100K profit. And this is literally this is an actual fact. How many people here have a big team who are running traditional agencies? Like a team of, let's say, like 10 or more people. I'm curious. Anybody? Or how many people are actually maybe running smaller teams, but making, let's say, like, I don't know. And Mauricio, what are your margins? 30%? Cool. Smaller team, yeah, the margins are 50%. Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. Now, do you know why you guys are having lower margins? It's not necessarily because your team is big, but because the talent on your team is not good enough for you to make sense of charging ridiculous amounts of money. Your talent dictates how much you charge, right? Because as an example, I have team members that I pay like 14 grand a month, right? Just one person, 14 grand a month. Are you going to tell me that when I pitch you that our program is 15 grand plus rev share, are you going to come to me and complain? No. Well, to be honest, I wouldn't even hear your complaint. I would just be like, okay, what are you talking about? Because just one person on the team, 30 plus employees, you're complaining about you not wanting to pay 15 grand when one person's salary a month is not even what you're going to pay. That gives me the courage to go to the marketplace and be like, hey, you either are going to pay it or you're not going to pay it. It's up to you, right? So, but when you have a team that is not talented enough, let's say you're using a lot of VAs, a lot of cheap labor, what ends up happening is when you go to the marketplace, you know that your team is not superstars. So therefore, subconsciously, you start thinking, oh, let me charge 2 grand a month. Well, no wonder you'll never make any money, right? The talent on your team dictates the courage you go to the marketplace and charge the marketplace. Okay. So, anyway, let's get into it. Cool. So, yeah, the traditional agency is good, but it just takes a crazy ton of margins away. Okay. So now, how does your team become leveraged? First step is hire better talent and pay them well, right? Quarterly, if the company is super profitable, I'll give out like $10,000, $30,000 bonuses to my team members, right? Not necessarily because I have to, but because I want to, because the more I pay them, the more they're committed to the vision, and the more they can even want to become better. Because a lot of you guys, or for me, the thing I want to avoid in my company is to have people who are just here to do a job. I don't want you doing a job. If I want someone doing a job, I'm just going to find someone who's working a 9 to 5 and just hire them and just tell them, hey, do this, or just keep doing your daily activities. Okay, can find a like a robot and just can find AI to do repeatable stuff, right? What I want is I want talent that can think. They can come to me knowing more than I can and be like, hey, Serge, I think we should redesign the whole system. Okay. And I'll just be like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, please, let's do it. How are we going to do it? They give me the answers. Okay. So you need people who are better and you need to pay them better. Okay. So I was about to show you guys, but I'm going to be showing you guys kind of like what our internal base. I think I can show you guys real quick what our internal base looks like of hiring. So for us, we're always hiring, right? Like we have a lot of different things where we're just constantly hiring, right? Where we're looking for, content specialists, customer support, head of product and success, quality assurance, creative directors, VSL creators. So we build all these bases to allow us to be able to essentially just have the best talent on hands at all times, right? And this is the thing that you guys need to be working on. It's super, super important for you guys to be building talent pools. Okay. And I'm going to kind of like explain to you guys what the value that will come from here. So just find the best people and just pay them well. The next thing is systems. Scale is impossible until you replace every recurring action and decision with the systems and processes. What do I mean by this? Okay. When you're starting a business, right? So you end up with things that happen constantly. Things like, send 100 DMs a day, right? Things like follow up, things like check in with a client, things like, I don't know, like funnels, right? Things like quality assurance, right? QA. Okay. And the bigger you get, the more happens. Okay. So now most people will never scale because they think that, oh, I just need to keep doing things myself. I'm going to do the follow-up myself. I'm going to do the outreach myself. I'm going to check in on a client myself. And then what they end up happening is with their 8 hours to 10 hours of work per day, it ends up being consumed by unleveraged tasks. Okay. And if you're doing unleveraged tasks, guess what happens? No scale happens. Why? Because your 8 to 10 hours per day is spent doing things, yes, that are valuable for the company, but that don't necessarily need to be done in an unleveraged way. As an example, DMs, just use ads and just follow up with opt-ins. Follow up, build a sequence on Go High Level and just automate the follow-ups. You want to do check-ins? Automate the check-ins with Zapier, with a bot on Discord, on Slack, okay? Funnels, build a plug-and-play funnel for every single funnel that you'll need to build for your clients. Quality assurance, instead of you just being like, oh, the success team is going to do quality assurance whenever they feel like it. No, systematize it. It happens every Monday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And every 15 minutes, you're doing QA for each client, right? 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, okay? Or at the end of the week or at the end of the day, you're reviewing end of day reports, okay? If you don't spend time systematizing things like this, you will never scale, right? You need to buy back your time. What essentially systems do is that they're buying back the time that you would do to make the decisions of doing the work. Because for someone who's needing to check in with clients and who still need to look at building funnels, they have to make a decision on checking in. They have to make a decision on funnel building. But if you end up building systems, you never need to waste time making decisions. which is super, super helpful. Okay. Now I want to show you guys what kind of systems you guys will technically need. Okay. And this can be used for your own clients too, by the way. So as an example, like email opt-ins. Okay. So for us, we have a way where when people opt into a training, I don't just want them to be on GHL. I also want them to be on ActiveCampaign, right? Now, it's possible the unleveraged way of doing this is download CSV and then upload to ActiveCampaign and do it once a week, right? But if since I know that this is an activity that happens every time, that is recurring, I would not get my team to do this every day. I'm just going to be like, hey guys, okay, now it's time to build a system because this thing keeps happening. So we go and start building systems. Okay. So let me show you guys some of the systems we built. So as an example, this is like a workflow for email opt-ins. So they opt into a funnel. We add them in the leads pipeline on Go High Level, right? And then email sequence is sent. We also notify the team where on Discord. And then the team dials the prospect in 5 minutes or less, WhatsApp workflow, social outreach workflow, and we track converts in the social outreach tracker. Okay. So you need something like an organic leads pipeline because we need to track paid ads as well as organic leads. And then you also need the actual workflow in the workflow on the back end of GHL. So you need things like, hey, add a tag when someone opts in. Why do you want to add a tag? Because you want to know where they came from. You want to also update the contact field. You want to update, create or update opportunity. And then add a webhook. I think the webhook sends them to ActiveCampaign, right, Elisa? I think, right? Yeah, I think, anyway. So anyway, so as an example, this is for, yeah, cool, perfect. Or as an example, for people opting into the 5-day challenge, we're tracking the organic, we're tracking the paid ads, doing the same thing, creating the opportunity, then they're getting sent into the email flow, right? And then there's just a bunch of email happening. Okay. So yeah, so you need to automate all this stuff, okay? And then the team just comes in here and everyone who's opting in, they just reach out and they track them on the system, okay? And then let's say the next thing you need to track, a system you need to have is like the appointments and sales systems. Every person who books you're going to need booking links per source. What does that mean? Every person working in your company in sales or appointment setting needs to have their different links because you want to attribute their booked call to the GS, okay? And then you also need to have qualifying questions. You need to have automatic disqualifications. Let me show you guys what happens within our business. Because we get a lot of people wanting to get on a call with us to try to work with us, but sometimes we can't help everyone, right? Now, traditionally, most people would just be like, oh, let me just get on a call with this person and try to see if they maybe qualified or if they can buy our services. But that's not a scalable thing. Why? Because it's a recurring thing where you're getting people who aren't qualified to work with you, but you're having to jump on a call, waste time on your calendar, and then just be like, hey, even if it's 5 minutes wasted, because in 5 minutes you can just be like, hey, I'm sorry, you're not ready for our program because you don't necessarily have the foundational skills or you don't have the capital, right? Most people keep doing that, or they manually go on a calendar and based on questions, they cancel them. But for us on Discord, you get what? Automatically canceled, right? So Al, who booked a call today, was marked unqualified. Why? Because he doesn't have, probably doesn't have the skill, probably doesn't have the money, right? So this allows the team to insanely just be more efficient, right? So this is like a system that would be good for you guys to build out, okay? For yourselves or for your clients. Now, The next thing is, create opportunity, attribute sales to setter or sales rep, notify the team, create record and tracking database, email sequences per sales stage, no show sequence, follow-up rebookings, data tracking, organic paid, cost per acquisition, commission attribution, cost per booked source. Okay. Sales call pipeline, calls booked workflow, right? So this is discovery call and strategy session because we try to qualify people on the front end. And if they're qualified and we think they're qualified to work with us, then we send them with our growth consultant, and you'll kind of like be walked through how we can help you, right? But these are things that you need to build out, because if you don't have these things, I promise you, you're not going to make millions and millions of dollars every year, okay? And then you also need to have sales trackers, okay? And then you also need to have kind of like and this sales tracker really just does the following. I'm going to show you guys. Sales calls, GHL automation track all the calls scheduled and canceled based on the changes of stages in GHL. Revenue, Stripe successful payments. So we actually link, if you guys ever kind of like work with us, we're going to link this with your Stripe. So everything will be coming in, or Stripe or PayPal, however you collect your money. And you get Stripe successful payments, Stripe refunds, Stripe disputes, upcoming payments, right? A lot of people, especially when you start scaling, future payments become a mess to track. So you can either have someone you're paying full time to go and follow up with every person, or you can just automate it so that we know that. I was about to show you guys upcoming payments, but I don't think it's necessarily worth it. I can show you guys some other time. Expenses, KPIs, right? Daily tracking, triagers end of day, setters end of day, closers end of day. Okay. So for me, I get data every single day. I don't have to go look around left and right. Okay. And then you also need things like onboarding workflow. So you need an onboarding workflow for your clients, because if you're signing 3 new clients a day, 2 new clients a day, even one client a day is insane amounts of work if you don't have everything systematized. So you need a go high level contact, go high level form filled out, client agreement sent, welcome email, signature, yes or no. Okay. If the signature is done, then client email sequence is initiated, Discord channel created, welcome message tags, client materials created, circle logins newly granted, client record created in Airtable and client CRM. Okay. Deal record created. Guys, I don't even know, but let me show you guys real quick what it looks like when someone signs up with us. I'm going to try to use, I think today we had a client who signed up. So let's try to see Ryan. We had 2 people sign up today, which is crazy. I don't know how the amount of people are signing up right now while I'm doing the challenge is crazy. Even though I haven't pitched anyone, it's pretty insane. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to find, because I need to show you guys what it looks like scale, okay? Because systems is going to be super, super important. Gilles, could you tag me in one of the channels that are newly created?
Just did.
Okay, cool. Let me see. Where is it? So let me show you guys real quick. I'm going to show you guys just the backend. So as I told you guys, right now, the way we're running GCP is more like it's almost like a partner level type of thing, where we moved away from just having like a big group model, and we just realized that we could just focus on one client at a time and just help them scale. Gilles,
yeah, scroll down. It's in the GCP branding. It's Ryan right there. Go up with the notification. Yeah, right there.
Here?
Right there. No, you were on it, Ryan. Go down.
Right?
Ryan.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Right.
Perfect. All right, cool. So Ryan pays an invoice, okay? And the following happens. A channel is created for him. This message is sent out, right? Hey, congratulations, taking the first step towards scaling your business, working closely together. We let him know that he'll have access to a growth consultant, a sales consultant. He'll have access to a recruiting team. He'll have access to client success, right? So now everybody just messages him out. Okay, so guys, I'm sorry for sharing these links, but hopefully no one is going to kind of like jump on them. We may need to change these links after today.
Oh my
God. But it's okay. Let's just give everyone the sauce. Okay, cool. So in that case, so like he now has access to everything. Okay. So this needs to be happened, or it needs to be automatically happening. It can't just be oh, okay, someone is going to send him a link and then we're going to schedule a call and then we're going to do this. No, 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 no. Everything needs to happen. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And you need these all things systematized, right? And then you need to have client email sequences. You need to have onboarding date. Welcome to the Growth Creator. I mean, I'm not going to show you guys all this stuff, right? And then one of the most important thing that you guys need is the following: a client wins database, right? Why is this important? I'm going to show you guys why this will become super crucial for you guys, but you guys need to be tracking wins like a hawk. So every time someone gets a win, and whether that be a client, whether that be maybe you're pushing a coaching or consulting program, then you need to be tracking everything. So you need a screenshot, then you need a Airtable database with wins, automatically upload screenshots in the database and give context on the actual win, okay? And it will look something like this. So you'll have a form that someone needs to fill out, okay? You need to have someone in your company who fills these out. And then you're going to have something like this, where you have every win and every single insight around the win, okay? And I'm going to explain later why this is going to be super crucial. So for us, guys, we have every single win tracked on Airtable, right? And I'm going to show you guys what it will look like if you guys end up having it. Okay, before I share it, I'm going to show you real quick. Let me show you. So on Airtable, we have this space where we track every single thing. Okay, we track the program, we track the win, we track the win type, we track the deals, we track the source, we track the offer, we track the targeting, we track the revenue generated, we track the date, we track who's uploading this, your acquisition team, which outbound prospecting, like all these things. Okay, and then we track all of this. Now, imagine the amount of data we have around different wins, okay? Infinite amounts of wins. Everybody just tracks, oh, I have a bunch of screenshots of testimonials. Who gives a fuck? Nobody cares that you have a screenshot. Do you know how the wins were acquired, right? Do you know? Can you repeat the actions that created these wins? If you cannot, then I don't care if you have screenshots. Screenshots don't mean nothing. I see a lot of people who've because I think we're the ones who kind of like led with the have you guys ever seen client acquisition.io's Instagram on how we structure the wins? Like we'll just post a win and just put the context around it, right, on our page. And I've seen a lot of people start kind of like just copying our screenshots wins process, where they'll just now start like posting their client wins. But I'm like, guys, yes, it's good to show that you're getting wins on your Instagram. So I'm going to show it to you guys. But the value is not for our Instagram page to have a bunch of wins. I'm sure you guys have seen this, like this structure of wins. I don't know if you guys can see it. But anyway, if you guys just go on Instagram, client acquisition, you guys will see a bunch of wins. But the thing is, that's not the value. The value is us having data around these wins, right? Because that's what people pay for. Nobody pays for a screenshot, okay? So this is super simple, but super important, right? And then maybe like for finances, you guys need to be tracking, create a record in Growth Tracker, notify the team. So when someone, let's say like a payment goes through, you need successful payment, you need disputes, you need refund, you need failed transaction, and you need to have a revenue tracking system, okay? Or you can use a Google Doc, or you can use, this is part of the sales tracker, I think, or I don't know. Anyway, we can go over other stuff. And then here you can have upcoming payments. This is going to be super important because at scale, you need to be keeping track of your payments. If you're not tracking it, it's going to be bad. Okay. And then you can also have like everything here can be automated here. Okay, cool. So these are like some systems that you guys will need. And then you guys need to have these. Why do we need this? Because scale is impossible until everything that happens. We know that we need to track payments. We know that we need to track email opt-ins. We know that we need to track people wins. So you automate it with systems. Now, as a growth creator, or why are we so focused on building systems? Because of data. As a growth creator, we're looking to get away from selling our time. Therefore, we need to find something even more valuable to sell. And that thing is data. Why is data so valuable? Because with the right data, you avoid failure and skip the testing phase. The reason why, okay, so here's an important lesson. And I think, Benjamin, you asked me, hey, why don't we do cold email? Cold email versus ads. Why is instantly not worth 700 billion? Anybody has an answer? Why is instantly not worth 700 billion compared to Meta? Who has the answer for that? Because there are only and access to them costs, a bunch of users, there isn't clear input, not leveraged because they a bitch. What? Come on. Because of data. When you buy instantly, guess what you need to do? You need to find your leads. You need to plug them into the system. You need to write your copy. You need to write some bullshit stuff. And then you need to send a bunch of emails. And then you need to test. And then you need to come back to it and be like, okay, what worked? But what happens with Meta? You just give money. You give the creative, the offer, and then Meta takes care of finding your people. You don't even need to find any leads yourself. Now, why is Meta so good at that? Because they focus on acquiring as many data points, as many data sets as possible. So he who has the most amount of data is the most leveraged, is the most valuable. So as an agency owner, and this is why I think, for me personally, being an agency owner is super stupid, because you're not really building up anything. Everybody just, because the mindset of agency is, you pay me $3,000 a month, and then I'm gonna just optimize your ads, and I'm just gonna do it every month, every day, every week, and forever, as long as you pay me, right? But they're not building any real enterprise value, because the only value they have is the team members who have all the data in their little brain. That's not valuable to me. How can I access the thing that's in your brain? So the reason why most agencies cannot charge them much is because they're just selling time and intelligence or knowledge, right? But that's not really a scalable thing. So that's why, for me, I wouldn't do cold email, because I'm like, why would I go in it more with a system that has the least amount of data? I'm going to go with the thing that has the most amount of data, which is Meta, right? And the valuation proves it. I swear to God, like, guys, when you guys ask, like, okay, what should I do? Well, go where the money is at. The reason why Meta, Google are worth almost $1 trillion and more is because they're valuable. Like, they have more value. Okay. So it's super important. And just to give you guys a quick insight on how we were using like acquiring data for our process with trained setters. When we still place setters, but right now we don't necessarily, we go straight to ads first, and then we use setters after. But I want to show you guys kind of like how we would track data for our team, for our VAs. So for clients who were using VAs, like every single day when the VAs would get meetings, they would track everything, right? We want to know the stub niche that you're targeting, how many wins, what is the date, right? So every single day we would have wins. And you would see, all these niches: solar, life coach, agency owners, business coach, real estate coach, coaches and consultant, leadership coach, agency owners, fitness apparel, e-commerce, artificial grass installers, all these niches. And what this allowed us to do is we could go back to the VA and be like, hey, where is the messaging? What time did you follow up? How many follow-ups? What is the loom that you sent for people to convert, right? We could analyze a lot of the thing. And when clients would come to us and be like, hey, I need setters to kind of like do outreach, we would be like, okay, cool. What's your niche? If they're going after podcasts, we would be like, okay, cool, perfect. We have data around how to book people on calls for podcast niche. So let's just get it done. We're going to train your VA on the thing. We're going to create the messaging for that niche. We're going to pick the right acquisition channel, right? But and this just allows us to have such an easier closing rate, because they just know that as soon as they pay the invoice, they're just going to get what works. There's no guessing game. There's no nothing. Okay. Now, would you pay $2K per month for us to give you an update on the best performing acquisition channel, messaging, offer, or volume? Would anybody pay that? $2K a month for the data on what works in their niche? Put it in the comments. Cool, perfect. Now, to prove that most people would hear, let me show you guys a quick example on Gym Launch. So, as I showed you guys the other day, Gym Launch actually scaled to over $1.5 million in MRR, and every client would pay 3.2K a month, right? And then I'm going to show you guys what they did, what value they delivered. So this is the retention offer. I shared previously what their front end offer was. If you haven't seen it, you're going to need to go through the past few days of material. So they would spend 50K to 100K a month to test the best ads, the best interest, the best funnels in all the markets in the different states. And then they would collect data around the best performing ones and then share them monthly with their community, right? Want to know how much people were willing to pay? I just shared it before, 3.2K a month. How many people were paying? Back in 2018, I was listening to a podcast back in 2018, and he said that they had 500 people paying them 3.2K a month, which is $1.6 million in MRR with 1% churn. Okay. And the reason why they had and then recently I heard him say that they had 1,000 people. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? Like, I'm in the wrong business. Okay. So, and then the reason why they had a 1% churn though, is because of two things. These people would actually sign a 12 to 36 months agreements. Okay. And they would get constant value every month. 90% of everyone on this call can charge a gym 3.2K per month for lead gen. But Gym Launch was charging 3.2K per month for 0 done for you services. Anybody has an answer about that? How was Gym Launch able to charge 3.2K a month for 0 done for you? And most people who are going after gyms or fitness people or whatever services can't even make 2K a month with them. Giorgio answered. Great question. Great answer, Giorgio. Oh, Giorgio's answer is made them tons of money first to build trust and objective data. 1,000%. Right? And then Magnus said most MF can't even get them on a call, which is true. So, and this is the lesson that I know, like Hormozi's released $100 million leads, $100 million offer. But for me, what I fucking care about is like, how the fuck do you sell 3.2K a month for just coaching? How the fuck do you do that? Teach me about that. Because I'm good on leads, bro. I'm good on that. Okay. Let me show you guys. Let me teach you a lesson. And this is going to be a $1 billion lesson. Okay. Let's go over retention. Quick lesson about retention. The quality of your prospect dictates the quality of your service and product. Right? Let me repeat this. The people you serve dictate the quality of the service. As an example, the reason why, if you're broke and just watch Iman's first course and you come to me and you're like, hey, Serge, can you get to me to 50K a month? Can I get you to 50K a month? Yes, I can. But am I going to want to work with you? Hell no. Because you're gonna be shitty. You're just gonna create more pain, and then the quality of my service is gonna be tied to your level of execution and to your level of knowledge. So that means that for people who try to sell to broke agency owners, your service will never be that great because you're selling to people who aren't great prospects. Okay? That's lesson number 1. Never sell to people who will be a pain in the butt getting results for. We've had clients who joined the hundreds, which is our partnership, after the growth creator, when we want to kind of like get even up to like equity, which we haven't necessarily started doing equity stuff, but more rev share and then more access to our infrastructure. We have clients who go from 30K a month, 40K a month to 180K a month in 60 days. But the only way we're able to achieve that result is because they had a foundation, right? And I just added this client 130K a month in new revenue. Well, then when I go to the marketplace and try to charge for my service, I charge based on that win. But I promise you, I can also go help someone who's making 5K a month, 2K a month, and the same level of person, my same team, the same insights will only take that person from 5K a month to, let's say, 15, 20K a month, right? The insight does not change, but the people make the insight valuable or not valuable. So you guys want to make shit ton more money? Go after better people. Okay? So you want clients who pay 100K to 500K a year without even noticing it? Make sure they're rich. Now, this is not heaven. So not everybody's not rich. Most people are not rich. They don't have money. So what if they're not rich? Well, then create your ideal clients. That's what Gym Launch did. Their front-end offer, their playbook was so good, the success was inevitable. They could literally add multiple six figures in revenue in the first month of someone signing up with them, right? So they solved this gap so well with their, I guess it's like a build and release, because they would solve their offer, their acquisition, their lead gen, their sales, and then they would also solve their fulfillment. And they charge a shit ton of money too, which is funny. 16 grand to a gym that's making less than like six figures is crazy, right? And once they solved this in a 4-month program, then they went on to solving the new gap. So the key thing is bridging their first gap creates a new gap. Because let's say a gym that goes to 50K a month after they've been stuck at 12K a month is going to now be wanting to get to the next level, which is, let's say I want to make $1 million. I want to make a few $1 million. I want to open up more facilities, right? Then that's what they were solving with what? With this Gym Lord offer, okay? They were just solving the second gap. And the second gap for this gyms is just like, hey, how do we scale, maybe build a bigger team, a sales team? How do we get better leads, more efficiently, more cost-effective process, okay? And then they retain them. But the beautiful thing is that to deliver on here versus here is night and day, okay? Here it's a bit more it's leveraged, but it's not as leveraged. But here it's purely information, unique insights, right? And it's the ultimate leveraged delivery, right? So, but we're not going to talk about this right now. So how is it to get clients that allow you, how easy is it to get successful clients to allow you to bridge their second gap when you've already solved the first gap, right? It's the same thought process where it's like, hey, how easy is it to sell someone a GT3, which is this one, after someone has bought a base model 911? It's super easy, because a person who wants a 911 probably doesn't want to just stay in a 911 base model. He probably wants to elevate into a GT3, which is like 300 grand. Okay. Now, the problem with most service provider make is how they structure their ascension model. Most people will give the average support to your clients as they come in. So on the front end, this is what makes gyms, to be honest, like agencies, man, sometimes it just pisses me off, right? It's an easy model to get in. It's like, whatever, like, cool. I started there. I'm not going to bash it, but it's super stupid, because for most agencies, what they do is the first person who signs up, they give them the least amount of support. And they expect them to stay and keep buying. Like, are you serious? You're going to think that you're going to deliver someone just a lead gen campaign and a funnel, and then you're going to expect them to keep buying from you? That's being delusional, right? Because as soon as they experience a bottleneck, an obstacle, they're going to churn, right? So I want to walk you guys through the old value ladder versus the new growth creator value ladder. Okay. Perfect. So let me show you guys real quick. And this value ladder has changed everything for me. Okay. So I'm sure you guys have seen this, which is, you get someone on the front end, maybe like a small ticket, lower ticket thing, and then you try to ascend them up and up and up and up and up again, right, to a more expensive thing. But for me, I think that this is kind of like the worst model, because what you need to do is to retain people. You need to have delivered the most amount of value on the front end. You need to have delivered them results faster than anybody else. Then how do you do that? Well, you just simply change the way you ascend people, right? So it's almost like a reversed value ladder. So you start with something that is free. Information, YouTube content, a self-liquidating offer. Like I think for me, I'm gonna push this Cigar Growth Creator Challenge for I'm gonna sell it for low ticket, so it's gonna just be something that I sell, and people are gonna get a lot of value, right? And maybe you make zero money or you make $100 or so from it, and then the first thing you do, you sell to these people is a build and release offer. Okay. You build the infrastructure that makes it inevitable for them not to experience their desired outcome. And you charge 10 to 50K. Okay. Most people who will go through this will experience faster results, more value on the front end. Okay. What happens when they do that? Well, they're going to want to stay because this success creates new problems. And these new problems, you solve them in a more leveraged way, just like how Gym Launch did it. You went from 16K program to 3K a month. Technically, this is a what? This is a downsell. You do what? Downsell the upsell. Because they go from what? They go from 16K, not upfront. Sometimes, like it's either upfront or payment plan, to 3K a month, 3.2K a month, right? How easy is it to sell 16K versus, hey, it's just 3.2K a month to get started, right? And then the best of the best, you do what? You push them to a partnership. And this is where you get percentages or equity, right? And this is technically the model that Hormozi is currently pushing. Instead, he's just going from free straight to equity, because he realized that I don't actually need to play the games here. His build and release offer today is just, okay, so I'm going to show you guys the game that Hormozi is doing, okay? So he realized that I could try to be busy and try to, sell these programs and try to make a few millions a year and there. Or I could just go from here and skip all of this and just own growth in the companies I help, right? So instead of trying to sell and make a program sale, he's still doing program sales, in case you guys have not noticed. I know a lot of people are confused with what Hormozi is doing, but like he's technically the same way that he would help a gym get more leads, more conversions and higher LTV is essentially what he's doing today. It's just that he realized that money upfront isn't as leveraged as money forever. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? It's all a game of leverage. Now, we're not millionaires. We're not making 100,000 millions every year, 100 billions. So we can't play his game because he's gone through the process. So you can't copy Hormozi unless you're already rich. You could copy Hormozi if you're patient and you don't mind being broke for the next 10 years and then eventually get a big break. Okay? So even the way you price can also be a leverage thing. Okay? So let's keep going. So for me, this is what I recommend everyone here. Like, do not try to cheap out your clients on front end. Don't try to be like, oh, well, if you're gonna pay me 2K, then I'm just gonna deliver a cold email build, or I'm just gonna get you some leads per month. No, 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 no. Deliver everything. Make your clients rich, right? Give them the full experience. Give them the whole thing. And then retain them. Retain them. If you see here, when you retain your clients, if it goes here, the beautiful thing about this model is you start high intensive effort, like it's the most amount of effort on your, even on, like in this challenge, you guys, like I promise you that the value I'm giving you guys today, like it's not different from someone who's paid me 15 grand. Like that's not the difference. And the reason why I don't mind giving you guys 15 grand, 100 grand, millions of dollars worth of value is because that is the relationship I want to have with you guys. Because if I over deliver here in the free stuff, well, what happens when you guys, like, what happens when 274 people who are on this call need support in launching their growth creator model thing, or on refining their offer, on refining their operations? They're going to go to who? They're going to go to us. But the only way you guys are going to choose us over everyone else who's advertising every day on Facebook, talking about, I'll get you 100,000 appointments or you don't pay. The difference between them and us is that, hey, we don't actually care about giving you appointments and promising you that we'll refund you if we don't. How about we just show you how to make $1 million a year? And then you go make your money. And then once you've made money, just come and refine your stuff with us. Okay. So you start really high intensive, a lot of effort. The lower you go, the less effort you put in, but the more revenue you get. So Hormozi realized that, like, you know what? I could just put in everything that I know, and just scratch all the program sales, and instead give everything away for free, and then have the most amount of leverage in fulfillment. How much leverage do you guys think Hormozi has in acquisition.com? Do you guys know how big the team is at acquisition.com? Someone want to guess? 10 people, 400 people, 50 people, 500 people, 20, 30, 30. I think last time, so because I went to Vegas, right? I went with this, they had invited like 20 businesses who were in the kind of like the online space. And I went there and they had like a few other companies there. And they were just trying this thing where they would figure out if their new way of acquiring businesses would be like maybe doing some in-person stuff, right? And I think their team is around 20 to 25 people, right? Now, right now they have 13 portfolio companies doing over $200 million in revenue, okay? Let's say they own 20% of that. Let's say they own 30% of each of the money coming in. That means that technically with 20 people, they're generating over $50 million in cash flow, right? How are they able to do that? Is because of the following. He realized that I can either be busy, build Gym Launch to 100 employees or more. I don't know how big Gym Launch was, right? Or he realized that, oh my God, I can't get to $1 billion just working hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scratch this service. Even coaching is not enoughly leveraged for me, right? Even coaching, the thing they did with Gym Launch with like $1.6 million in monthly recurring revenue from people who are just getting information every month, he realized that, oh, even that is not enough leverage for me. So he scratched this model, and then he went to private equity. Private equity is every single value that you deliver to a business, you don't get paid for it once, you get paid on it forever. Imagine how much money I would be making if everyone who's here, 270 people, or let's say 2,000 people who watch this, if
Everyone who's building a build and release offer in the SaaS space, in the coaching space, in the local business space, in the real estate agency, in every niche, if I got 20% of what everyone brought in, all from just giving you guys the same knowledge that I'm giving you guys right now, I would literally go from struggling to make 100 grand a week to making 100 grand a day and not even knowing what happened. Right? This is what happens when you realize that like there is bigger games to play. Okay. So you need to figure out that, hey, to make more money, you need to get to a point where you're making so much money, but the effort required compared to the revenue you're making is like it's an asymmetrical relationship. Okay. And this is just what they're doing. Okay, cool. Right. So now we can compare focusing on data collection versus trying to build a done-for-you agency that helps gyms do lead gen. So if you are trying to do what Gym Launch was doing, but doing it in a traditional model, which was lead gen, well, then you would have, for every 10 to 15 clients, gyms that you're working with, you'd have one media buyer, let's say maybe with an admin, an assistant. And if you have 500 clients, then you would need like 50 media buyers. For every campaign, you would probably need to have 2 hours per week that are to be allocated on optimization. So that means that 2 hours or 2 hours times 500 gyms, that's 1,000 hours a week. Let's say on an average work week, which is 40 hours, you would have 5 full-time employees just doing optimization. Finance, imagine the bookkeepers needed to manage 500 payments plus high churn that comes from done-for-you contracts in the lead gen space. Imagine trying to balance the inflow with the team size, meaning no money's coming in this month. Well, why do we need 10 extra media buyers or setters doing nothing? So now you would have so much complexity because now you would need to also be like, okay, we're not making enough money. Let's fire people. Or, hey, we are making too much money this month. Let's get on more media buyers, right? Think of all the integrations that have to happen and the troubleshooting, right? The lead gen model is scalable, but the scalability is a lot more complex due to how labor intensive this model gets at scale, right? Now, for a data-driven company like Gym Launch, all they had to do to fulfill on 500 clients and more is they would acquire in the insights and data the 500 gyms needed. They'd give an agency or a small internal team of marketers $50K to $100K budget every month to test all the variations possible and come up with the best performing ads in all the 50 states. Then they would document everything and simply release it as a plug and play. In exchange of $100K a month worth of value, the gyms would only need to pay $3.2K a month for $100K a month. Does that sound fair? Of course it does. All right? It's a no-brainer. Would you rather go and take this $3K a month and just go test your own ads, or would you rather pay it so you get $100K a month worth of insights? Right? Now, how easier is it to scale Gym Launch versus a traditional agency? Infinitely more scalable. When you have data, you acquire unique insights. And that's what the gyms paid Gym Launch for. Unique insights. Unique insights are the most leveraged thing a service provider can sell. Okay? Why? Because acquiring them is also leveraged. As an example, everyone on today's call, or who will be going through this during the recordings, is acquiring the same insights, the same lessons that took me 3 years to learn, that generated me over $5 million. And all that is going to take you guys is 5 days with me. All that is going to take you guys is like 10 hours of sitting down and actually learning. You're getting $5 million worth of lessons, years and years, probably more than 3 years, probably like 5 years of just learning around business stuff, right? And all you guys are getting it in 5 days. This works the same way when fulfilling for your clients. If you need insights, you only have to focus on acquiring talent with unique insights. You need to find people with unique insights. You need to get them to documenting everything they know. Build and release these insights into your clients' companies, leveraging infrastructures. You're going to need to build systems to collect data once you've built these infrastructures in your clients' companies, right? And then from this new data, guess what? You create new insights, right? And you end up with something that's the flywheel of selling unique insights, right? One thing you will realize is that when you're selling insights, unique insights, it never ends, because the more you grow, the more unique insights you acquire. And this is what it will look like. The unique insight flywheel. Let's say you acquire your first client, okay? And then you build them an acquisition infrastructure. Then you're going to build the systems to track the data, right? Then you're going to acquire new data. When you acquire new data, it gives you what? New unique insights into how to help that client even better. When you have unique insights, then you go back to the marketplace and you're like, hey, I actually know how to do this better because we have clients' data. And then you do what? You get more clients. And when you get more clients, you start building more thorough infrastructure. Why? Because now you have more data. And if you have more thorough infrastructure, you get people what? Faster results. And when you get people faster results, you acquire what? Better data around how you got them faster results. And then when you got them faster results, you start literally create success on demand. And that's what Gym Launch was doing for gyms. And then when you have a lot more case studies, a lot more insights, then your closing rate goes from nothing to infinite, right? And this is what you guys need to get to a point. You guys need to be leveraging this flywheel, okay? The traditional sense of just you're selling your time and your team's time is not it. You need to be leveraged, right? And you need to get to the point where you're just selling insights and you're building infrastructures based on the insights that you have. The biggest obstacle for you and your clients will be talent and systems. So let's look at how you guys are going to be solving it. In this case, I'm going to use a build and release offer for someone. So we have a client who joined the Growth Creator program, and he has a coaching business doing like 60K per month. But he realized that the coaching space of people training closers to become, or people 9-to-5ers to become closers, is getting super competitive. If you're in that space, I highly suggest you get out of it, just generally because eventually it's going to be nothing. It's going to be worthless, right? And he just joined GCP, and the first thing we did was, hey, we're not actually going to help you coach more people. Instead, we're just going to help you build. Well, he actually came to us because he wanted a B2B offer. And the first thing we did was like, hey, why don't you just, instead of helping people become closers, why don't you help closers transition into being more leveraged and becoming sales agency owners, right? And let me show you guys how we kind of like the angle we came up with and how we built out his infrastructure. Okay, so check this out. Most people are here. They're like, hey, become a closer and then start making 10K a month. Well, that's good, but you're helping someone who's, well, not broke, but technically broke. You're helping them get into an opportunity vehicle, right? As I said, the quality of your prospect dictate the quality of your service. So that means that most people out there who are, training setters or training people to become closers, because they're going after such a bad audience, like people who aren't actually quality prospects, they probably have like a 90% success rate. Oh, whoa, 90% is actually pretty 90%, like they probably have like a 1% success rate or 3%. But because they're signing so many people, so many students, they can kind of like falsify the fact that they're seeing results by just constantly repurposing the wins from the 3 people, the 5 people, the 10 clients who are actually good when they've sold 500 people in the last 90 days. Okay. So for me, I don't want to go after broke people. I want to go after rich people. So what did we get this client to do? We were like, hey, you have an insight, because this client actually worked in a sales agency where they were generating like $1.7 million in revenue per month on different offers. I was like, hey, you have this unique insight around the fact that, or around how to go from being a closer to starting a sales agency, right? So now we came up with an offer where we were like, hey, we help closers go from selling their time, making good money, to becoming 7 figures sales agency owners without having to take any calls, right? How much more valuable, or how much more pricing power do you think this offer is compared to this one? super more valuable. We put it at 15K, and he got like 7 people interested after we helped him write an email to his list, and he pitched 15K, and people were like, okay, whatever, right? And but now the topic of today's call is just to go over how to actually structure fulfillment, right? So to help someone go from being a closer to being a 7-figure sales agency, you probably need to help them craft their offer, their lead gen, their appointment setting, and then help them recruit closers, because they're going to need a lot of closers, right? So the first thing you would do is you would ask yourself, hey, what are the obstacles that would keep a closer from becoming a successful agency owner? And the reason why becoming a sales agency owner versus being a closer is more valuable is because here you are leveraged. Here you're just selling your time. You're just paid well for your time. Okay. So the same question we ask ourselves when creating our offer will lead to the discussion in finding the deliverables. So not having an offer would keep someone from not going from closer to agency owner. So we need to give them their offer. Not generating attention would also be an obstacle. So we need to solve for constant lead flow of leads. Not being able to close, well, we're going to need to build a proven sales process and script. Not having knowledge about operations and a fulfillment infrastructure. And the fulfillment infrastructure can be onboarding systems, communication cadence, client journey. So we're also going to need to provide them with a proven fulfillment infrastructure. No talent acquisition management skills. So we're going to need to help them build a sales team, marketing team, and ops team, or at least build frameworks around doing it. We're going to need not having content or sales assets online would be an obstacle. So we're going to give them a list of proven sales assets. Okay. Now, how do we deliver on all these things? Well, here's how you do it. You're going to need to separate the mechanisms based on the fulfillment mechanism, right? So you have done for you, you have done with you, and you have do it yourself. Okay. What we're going to do is the following. I think I put it here. Wait 1 second. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of like read it through. So what we ended up realizing is that the offer is gonna be done for you for sure. Okay, and then the attention, leads, and sales, it's something that we can build it in-house, and then they can just manage it themselves. And then operation, talent acquisition, since this is it's a big hurdle to go through as someone who's just starting a business, like finding talent, knowing how to manage them. So what we do is we would build the hiring base for salespeople. Okay. So this client of ours, to be more valuable for his clients, would have already a database, a pool, just like we have for VAs. He would have some for closers. So everyone who pays his 15K program to become a sales agency owner just gets the offer, gets the attention, the scripts, the sales process, everything like that, the systems. And then we just place 3 closers on his account, and then go, so that when he acquires a client, he doesn't have to go running around being like, okay, I need to find closers to sell for each offer. The value of the build and release offer is that you solve the thing faster than anybody else. So if you just try to give people a script on how to find closers or where to go hire them, then you don't understand the build and release offer. You need to already own every single infrastructure your client needs. That's why, compared to, let's say, other consulting programs, when we were placing setters, someone would be like, oh, go on loanlinejobs.ph and just hire a VA, and here's the script you need to train them on. For us, when you would pay us, the VAs were already pre-trained, but when you also paid the invoice, we would retrain them on your specific channel, on your specific offer, and we would just place them in like 10 days after you signed up, right? It's about how effortless is the process. That's what makes this offer so much better, okay? Now, a lot of you guys, so does this make sense? Done for you, done with you, do it yourself, okay? Now, most people will not know everything around here, because you cannot do all these things. You cannot be the one bringing the offer. You cannot be the one generating the attention. You cannot know everything about sales. You cannot know everything about fulfillment. So what do? It's really simple. You find the hoop. The beautiful benefit around build and release is you get to skip the learning curve. So as an example, if I wanted to start selling an AI offer, to be honest, I don't actually need to learn anything about AI. Just like Warren Buffett does not need to learn about anything about AI. Just like when Microsoft invested, I would think, like almost $10 billion in OpenAI, Bill Gates was not in OpenAI coding, right? I mean, he probably knows a lot more than AI than anybody on the planet, but all he had to do is just be like, hey, guys, okay, cool. Let's just throw a few billions at this company and let's just get 49% of the value of this company, right? It's the same thing with the build and release offer. Just because you do not know how to do something does not mean it keeps you from selling a build and release offer, okay? Because when you sell it, you're going to get so much money up front that you can afford any level of talent and any level of solution, any level of insights, okay? So when you are like, okay, but who's going to do the offer? Well, you ask yourself, hey, who can provide me with the best lead generation strategy and infrastructure for my clients? Who has the proven sales process and scripts my clients need to close 30 to 40%? Who has the fulfillment infrastructure my clients need to onboard and deliver results? Who has the best hiring framework, process, infrastructure to help my clients attract and retain superstars? Who has the proven sales assets my clients can create for their business? And by sales assets, I mean content, by the way. I call them sales assets because they sell the fuck out of people. Okay. So check this out. This is how you overcome your own limitations. Just because you don't know how to solve your client's problem does not mean someone else doesn't. And it doesn't mean that you can't sell them the solution. Right. And as an example, if you don't have a huge operations or a team of integrators, because this actually took it from directly from the GCP program, but I had said that you can literally send one message to our growth consulting team that you need to build a snapshot for your clients or that you need to build a new onboarding system, and that your clients will use to onboard their clients in one click, and our team can build it and deliver in 1 week. The cost maybe a few $1,000 if it's a thorough system, if it's a complicated system. But the benefits is you spend zero time building or researching, and you now have an asset that you can sell over and over and over again, which also increases the perceived value of your offer. Okay? The more you can learn to leverage other people to solve your problems and exchange capital instead of learning it yourself and spending time going around and around learning stuff, the faster you get to scale, since there are 8 billion people and there's only one of you. Okay? Now, how do we structure our fulfillment so it's scalable? By the way, is this helpful? Is this valuable? Just leave comment in the chat. Perfect. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Beautiful. Cool. Let's keep going then. How do we structure our fulfillment so it's scalable? As much as we want to create and deliver the most results to our clients, we don't want to do so much for them that we're incapable of scaling and building something valuable. What do I mean by that? As I said, our goal, the way we're going to get richer faster than most service providers, is that we're going to deliver the most amount of value faster than anybody else in our industry. Okay. But the issue is you also do not want to become a done-for-you agency and deliver so much that you become you build an organization that cannot scale. Okay. So if you look around, the greatest entrepreneurs of all time are judged on the size and quality of their organizations. Therefore, you can't just settle for being the best. Okay. You also need to preferably be the biggest. Okay. Nobody cares if you're the best, but you make 10K a month. Like, listen, great job. Your clients, your 2 clients like you. They love you. They will never churn. But it's like, what are you doing, man? Or woman, right? There's no, if you're going to play the game of business, there's no, and I want you guys to really understand this. You guys will get a lot of people who give weird advice. Like, oh, it's not about the size. It's about the whatever. It's about the size, brother. It's about the size. It is always about the size, no matter how you put it, right? So you want to avoid the people who have these advices, because guys, the advice you guys will hear online, it's based on what the person is going through. So if someone cannot scale their business and they're stuck at a certain level, they'll be like, oh, they'll start defending their position. They'll start being like, oh, it's not about the size. I'd rather make 50K a month and just have 10 clients and just live, just have a nice Mercedes and just live in a nice home, and that's it, and have 3 employees. I'm like, you're so dumb, because he's trying to make sense of being small, right? because he cannot go against his current situation, because if he goes against what he believes, then he's gonna become depressed. So for me, when I see someone trying to defend a position, I always like, yeah, it's because you don't know how to get big, right? Everybody says big is not better, is because they got big, but they never understood about sustainability. They just thought that getting big is about getting big. But as an example, most people are like, oh, I don't want to scale a business to 500K a month because then I'm just making 100K a month profit, or I'm just making less than 100K a month profit, when at 100K a month, I'm making 70K profit, right? They just see that perspective. Like, oh, when I get bigger, my profits margin diminish. Okay, well, then how do you explain that Gym Launch got to $1.6 million in MRR? And they were still selling front end stuff. And they were probably having like 60% margins on that million. So is it true that getting big is bad? Is it true that you actually lose infinitely more profits as you scale? No. But people who have a small mind, who just want to protect their ego, will give arguments as to why scaling is not good, right? So be careful to who you guys follow. Be mindful with the information you guys take in. I think there is value, not necessarily just going for scale, because if you scale, then the cost to acquire becomes super expensive and you start losing profits. But you can have a model that is super profitable even at scale. So the bigger and better you are, the more valuable you're contributing to society. So it's not just it's not just a selfish quest, it's a matter of impact. The least chaos. So I'm sure you guys have heard by now that simple scales, complex fails. And most people throw this around, but they don't really understand it. In my opinion, it's not about avoiding complexity. It's about avoiding it's about avoiding the chaos that comes from newness. Okay. You want to avoid new things and the frequency at which you introduce new mechanisms and processes at all cost. Imagine being in an Amazon fulfillment center and boxes are being shipped in different states, countries, and moved through different couriers. People speaking different languages, coming in at different time of the day, not following a specific routine. Scaling this fulfillment center would be nearly impossible, even though the core activity in this fulfillment center is still a simple process of store the box, process the order, pick the package, put it in the box, ship it, and make sure you're managing your inventory, right? Simple things get complex when it's not systematized and standardized. This is where it becomes super important at defining complexity. Complexity does not come from the complexity of the core activity. Complexity in your operations will frequently derive from undocumented processes and the inconsistencies in your operations. Does that make sense? Okay. The issue is the fact that here there's just everything is new. Nobody knows what happens at what time. Everything is just like, oh, I showed up this time. Oh, I'm going to pack this. I'm going to send it to China. I'm going to send this to New York. Like, no. Let's have every state, every 25-mile radius have an Amazon fulfillment center, right? And we only deliver packages on a 12, 25, 30-mile radius and nothing more. That's where you see Amazon buying things like planes. Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but like a few years ago, I saw like they were buying planes, they were buying trucks, because they want to remove the amount of uncertainties. They want to stop relying on things that they cannot control. It's essentially buying a truck is just building a process, building a system. We know that, hey, in this city, if we need to deliver a box, it's going to be delivered in our trucks. Why are our trucks more valuable? Because we know how much it costs for gas. We know how much it costs for repair. We know if something breaks, we know where we're going to send it for repair. We know that if we own our own trucks, then we don't have to rely on drivers who are inconsistent, or these carriers that will just hire super cheap labor, right? And that you can't control. So they want to control. It's essentially, scale is about controlling, okay? Now, rules to follow in order to avoid chaos. You want to document everything from A to Z before you implement it. Lack of one standard operating procedure leads to more missing SOPs. So please, if you have to tattoo it on yourself and every employee in your company, please do it. If you have that person who just likes to like do things on the cuff, by the way, I'm super, super bad at this. So even though I'm teaching you guys this, the reason why I'm not making 100 million already is because I still have this drive of being an entrepreneur where I just want to rush. I want to come up with a challenge. I'm like, hey, fucking guys, let's do this challenge, right? But if we would have done this challenge a lot better, instead of having 200 people, 300 people every day, we could have had 1,000 people every day. But it would have had to have, we would have to have started by first working on the SOPs of how we're going to promote it, how we're going to call each day, the content that will be presented, and we will have to have built it maybe like a month in advance and started promoting it 90 days ahead. But because I just rushed the thing, we didn't get as many people signing up. I mean, thousands of people signed up and thousands of people keep seeing this, but the goal wasn't necessarily for me for the challenge. My goal was really to create a product out of this. Okay. But anyway, so I'm not perfect at this, and it dictates also the scale I can go at. Okay. Feedback and review cycle. Most of the initiatives, mechanism, and solutions you'll test run won't be perfect or even worth keeping. Therefore, you want to have 1 week, a 1 week review cycle of tests you're doing in your fulfillment. Example, in this closer to sales agency offer, you decide to launch a hiring and placement of reps for the client starting a sales agency. A week later, you review the performance of this initiative. This review would need to be done over a longer timeline, by the way, right? For better data. But you realize that your clients expect the closers to be fully accountable and not need continuous training. Therefore, they don't need to do it, and it leads to a shitty performance of closers you're placing. So after placing the set of closers in your client's company, you realize that, oh, they're not even looking at their data every day. They're not even getting on a call with them. So they end up not performing. And if they end up not performing, guess who they're going to blame? They're not going to blame themselves. Clients who buy these type of services are always going to go back to blaming you, right? Especially if they're less advanced in business. So you build a new process and document it, going over the new sales metrics, tracking systems, and ramp up cadence for reps for you just to place in their organization, okay, that you just placed. So you build new initiatives and new systems to avoid what? This problem. And then the next thing is, don't start more than one initiative per month. If you want to improve your operations, you need to understand that it will come from dialing each mechanism, process, and not the volume of solutions you offer. 4 great mechanisms in one offer will beat 40 mediocre solutions bundled up in your service. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. The build and release offer, even though it solves every problem, it doesn't mean that it delivers every solution. Okay? Super important difference. You don't want to confuse a build and release offer with, oh, I'm going to run ads, then I'm going to do outreach, then I'm going to do cold email, then I'm going to do LinkedIn outreach. No. You're confused. Don't confuse yourself. Okay? I don't mean that, right? We don't want to confuse movement with progress. What you want to focus on is, for each single obstacle, find the best solution and just do that for your clients. Better is more, less is more. Always do it better before you try adding new stuff. So as an example, we can do LinkedIn outreach, we can do cold email, we can do everything. But right now, what we're really trying to do for our clients in Growth Creator Program is we set up a funnel, a value funnel, we run some ads, and we make sure that we get people, growth specialists or setter, who can call every lead that opt-ins to try to make sure that they set them. And for those who book them automatically, you still reach out to them, because we want to have a conversation so we can increase the commitment to the show up. Okay. So it's super important. Don't think that the build and release is about doing more. No, it's about doing the best. And then doing the more of the best, not more. Okay. Now, the most leverage. Our time on this planet is limited. Every second spent building a mechanism needs to bring us to infinite returns, even when we stop doing them. I like to follow this rule. If I can't be fed next year by today's tasks without an extra investment of time and energy, I will not do them. Let me repeat this. If I can't be fed next year by today's tasks without an extra investment of time and energy, I will not do them. If you guys come to me and be like, hey, Serge, I have this great opportunity. We can invest into real estate. We can do all the. I'm like, or hey, Serge, I think we can sell clients AI offers. I'm gonna be like, no, I'm good on that. Because it's just a distraction. Just because I can make money today does not mean that the money made today is worth my time. Right? And this is where you guys will realize that the people way ahead will say no more frequently than they say yes, because it's not about making money. It's about how leveraged is the input compared to the output. What is that relationship like? So as an example, I could have just easily just kind of like try to communicating all the value that I'm creating on YouTube, and just, or maybe, I mean, YouTube is pretty leveraged, but let's say in a conversation one-on-one, right? And then it would take me 200 hours to try to talk to everyone who was in this call. So I would rather not do that, because if I try to just explain everyone here the value of our company one by one, then I'm going to spend 300 hours trying to pitch you guys this idea, where I'm like, no, I'm going to just do it once, and then it's going to do the convincing at scale without having me to repeat myself all the time. So even though 5 days of presenting 2 hours a day is a lot of work, the ROI on the time invested on this thing is going to be insane. Okay. So, and then, yeah, example, like even creating this training, getting on a one-on-one call, where, you know, kind of like explaining everything to each client. I could just create this training, and then it's going to be infinitely leveraged, right? And the biggest companies are big because of how leveraged they are in their operations. Media and code, you know, can think of videos, YouTube, softwares, AI, standard operation procedures. Okay. Capital, a lot of huge organizations like McDonald's own the real estate they run their businesses from. And this provides them with extra value from tax incentives, their ability to borrow even more money against their assets. The more money you have, the more money you can access. Okay. The largest organizations have the most employees, but they also have the smartest employees. How smart your team is dictates the level of leverage you can access. So if you're the type of person to hire cheap talent, well, understand that you're saving money today at the cost of leverage. It's essentially like trying to save $1,000 a month, and that $1,000 a month keeps you from 100 grand a month. So there is an opportunity cost in just trying to hire cheap people. I'd rather have no money and a superstar team than a lot of money and an average team, because this is why most people will never scale a business. Everything rests on their shoulders. You want to find a new initiative on how to grow your company, you have to think about it. You want to find a new initiative to help your clients grow, you have to think about it. You want to find a new initiative to not pay taxes, you have to find the answer. You want to find new initiatives on how to build the system, you have to find it. Are you kidding me? Right? It's going to take you 6 months to do what a company with great talent does in a single week. So for 1 month, for 1 week worth of work, you're having to spend 6 months of time. And that's the difference between Tesla that makes 700 million a day and you who can't even make 70K a month, right? So it's about leverage. Deciding on your fulfillment models. Get as close as you can to zero marginal cost of replication, which means that you need to get to a point where for you to deliver value or for your clients to experience more value, it doesn't actually cost you more, right? The more clients you get shouldn't mean that you proportionally scale the operations, right? If you're stuck needing more people as you get more clients, then rethink your deliverables and figure out how you can move down the following scale. You want to go from purely just being done for you to maybe getting some consulting, to maybe getting a productized service. And eventually, if you can get to the realm of information and software, then this is where you really experience zero marginal cost of replication. Okay? Every new client, it doesn't cost you more to fulfill. And here is how I personally would suggest you guys when starting out. For the build and release offer, 20% to be done for you. This will be for the main variables that are critical to success, like offer creation, lead flow. So as an example, setting up the actual campaigns, the people, the setters, the closers, the systems, okay? And maybe some call reviews, super important too. 60% should be for management and optimization of variables. So coaching reps, founders, sales teams, sales systems, and this is on the sales offer, by the way, sales closer to sales agency. You probably need to build sales assets and content creation that people can just plug and play. You're going to need to do a weekly or daily accountability process. You're going to need 20% of your time to be allocated, or your team's time, to general knowledge, like other things that your clients need to be successful, like the daily schedule structure, right? Like for me, one of the things that I like to do in our program is I like to look at what our clients' time look like. So I've realized that your calendar dictates how much money you make, right? So look at it, and it will tell a lot about your revenue. If you spend a lot of time on $10 activities, like tracking your expenses, as an example, like, why are you doing that? That same time can be made to try to actually make $1 billion instead of you trying to make $10 an hour. Okay. How to pay reps and incentivize them properly, how to structure your ramp up period. The more leveraged your mechanisms are, the faster you can scale. But since we care about being the best for our clients as much as we care about scale, we will balance leverage and results. Okay. You can be leveraged, and this is where most people go wrong, right? A lot of people who will see, we'll see people like Iman, we'll see people like Hormozy, we'll see a lot of people who are making a lot of money online because they're selling courses. And then they'll think that, oh, in order for me to get rich, I need to stop doing what I'm doing and go sell a course. But the issue is, yes, selling a course is more leveraged, okay? But the issue is, you can be leveraged and not get your clients results. And in a few years, you will not have a business because you will have tarnished your brand. So there is some leverage is not good, because the cost of not being successful at it is death. You don't want to kill your business and your name, because you will not come back from. You cannot change your name. You cannot change your face. You cannot change who you are, right? And that's where you guys will see a lot of people, even though they've scaled to millions, maybe even make 100 million in like 4 or 5 years, they will get out of this consulting coaching space because they've just generally burned every person. And what is 40, 50 mil worth in 4 years if it costs you 40 years of client growth or of partnerships, right? And that's why, for me personally, I went straight into the build and release. I didn't want to just be like a course seller. And, as much, like, I'm sure that the value over this 5 days is worth way more than the course that, let's say, Iman is selling, right? But the reason why I'm giving it away for free is because I know that even if I sit down here every day and teach you guys everything that I know, you guys, most people will not be able to see success. So I don't want to just transact on information, because I know that it's not necessarily going to guarantee success. And that's where I came in with the build and release model. And it's not a coaching business. It's not a coaching model. It's not a consulting. It's not an info product thing. It's a offer where you solve the whole thing. You solve, yes, you teach people, but you also solve for implementation. So because we know that growth requires your clients to become smarter and to execute on a completely new level. And this is where everyone needs to be. You need to be educating people at the same time as solving execution and infrastructure problems. Okay. So, was today helpful, guys? Woo! Jesus. I'm gonna need to retire at least for a month after this. Let me know if you guys found this helpful. Amazing. What was yesterday's homework? You're gonna need to get access to that, man. All right, cool. Now let's go over homework today. And yeah, for the homework for yesterday, you guys are gonna just need to get access to the thing when it comes out. Okay. So what I want you guys to check out is list the who, the talent you'd need for your build and release offer based on the variables you need to solve for, just like the exercise we did earlier. And then you also want to list the systems you'll need. Well, not need, but actually for your clients, that your clients will need Things like hiring systems, lead gen systems. If you're going to do paid ads, then list out those systems. If you're going to do outbound, then list out the structure, right? What are going to be the client acquisition channel? What is going to be the messaging? What is going to be the follow-up cadence? What are going to be the tracking systems, right? Sales systems, sales trackers, everything like that. And once you're done doing this, then you want to design your client journey and checkpoints, okay? I wanted to kind of like show you guys what our backend looked like on client success, but I think this is going to be enough. But what you guys want to do essentially is you guys want to design the whole thing. So as an example, the prospect that believes that this is the best thing for them, they request an invoice, you need an agreement, they complete the agreement, they access the private channel and the growth creator community, they access the growth creator worksheets, the content, the weekly consulting calls, the books, then they book an onboarding session, then a clarity session, then the schedule setup and launch calls, right? So there's an onboarding call, then there's a clarity session, then there is actually the setup calls. So the appointment setting team, building and placement call, the 7-figure paid ads launch call, and then you would need to have a infrastructure review once everything has been set up for them, and then you need to have just a weekly check-in call, okay? And then there is the phase of clarity, 7-figure decisions and clarity. So on a build and release offer, you need to plan out. There is building phase, and then there is the actual clarity phase where you actually guys need to plan out things. So things like, hey, creating the offer, what are the trends going on, the pre-mortem exercise, the picking the pricing model, guarantee, setting up a guarantee, 7-figure potential offer, finding the most profitable market segment. So these are things that we do for clients. We leverage our insights, our clients' insights and our data to find the most profitable market. And we have a profitable market matrix where we find who is the best client, who can get the biggest ROI, who can they almost guarantee results for, who can they effortlessly afford, who can effortlessly afford your service. Essentially, we just go through a lot of decision making here, okay? And then we go over the actual building and implementation, lead gen infrastructure, either outbound or paid ads, content infrastructures, and conversion mechanisms, right? And based on this, you can just essentially just have a team come in and just take care of every checkpoint, right? All right, cool, guys. So that is it for today. I hope you guys found value in today's, I hope you guys are getting a lot of value from this, okay? I did this, I didn't necessarily expect it to be this good. But over the last few years, I've just realized that you need to have an edge over most people to experience above average outcomes, right? And this is the kind of like the mindset, the things I've been building within client acquisition.io that allowed us to go from nothing to something, right? And tomorrow, what I want to do is I want to walk you guys through other clients' information, other clients' case studies, other clients, how they implemented essentially everything here. Okay. So if you guys want to get more context, like actual, like, hey, where was this person? This person was maybe making 10K a month, then they got to 50K a month. This person was making 50K a month, then they got to 100K a month. Like, what was the steps and what was the thing that they changed? Because over the past 5 days, I've given a lot of value, but you don't need to necessarily implement on everything at the same time. There is a certain sequence to experiencing success. So tomorrow we're going to be going over actual, like, hey, what is the real sequence depending on where you're at in business. Okay. So make sure you're there tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be super, super, super valuable. Okay. So, and then for those who bought the VIP ticket, tomorrow we're going to sit down. I'm going to stay here as long as I can. And we're just going to go crazy, crazy hard with all the questions. And thank you guys for everyone who bought it. And yeah, we'll speak tomorrow. Bye-bye.